Hey, what's up, guys? Joe here, coming at you today from Town Hall 9. And looking back at my previous content, I feel like I've been going about it all wrong. I've been presenting you content that was high competitive level content, but I wasn't really going into the details on how those attacks were even successful in the first place. So a little bit of a waste of time. And I think the misconception there is the fact that you guys have been thinking that a strategy fits all, like one single strategy fits all. And most of you that play at a high competitive level know for a fact that is not the case. Hogs does not cover every single base. Witches don't cover every single base. We're going to be starting with Town Hall 9s today, and then we're going to work our way up into the Town Hall 10s and the Town Hall 11s as the time permits. But really, the main focus here of this video is for you guys that are looking to improve your game at Town Hall 9. You have to work together with your teams in order to plan these attacks out. You will not be successful by doing it all by yourself. There's no way. It's impossible. So what I've gone in and done is I've purposely pulled bases that were one-time hits. They got hit one time. They were successful 3-stars right off the bat, and they're more than likely these bases will never be seen again, or they'll be gone back into the drawing board, retweaked, and represented at a later time. But yeah, pull your notebooks out. We're going to go play by play, and we're going to go through each of these attack strategies as the time goes on, or as they permit themselves, and try to get you a better understanding on how they operate or how they were successful to be a 3-star. All right, so let's go ahead and kick this thing off with the Witch Slap. Probably one of the more prominent attack strategies you see week in and week out. Probably seen multiple times. You've probably attempted it yourself and then failed a few times, gave up on it, or continuing to try to force it. But why is it successful? So as we look at this base here, we'll take note and identify where the Archer Queen is located. The Queen's up here in the north. We have the air defenses. They're sprinkled throughout the core of the base. They're not on the edges. We have a large trash ring up here around this entry point over here. And then obviously the town hall down here in the south. Point defenses are all around the edges, up around the top and north side of the base, around the south side of the base. So just everything's like really laid out, really spread out here on this base. So, you know, where would you take it on, or where would you enter from? That is the question. So EFX here actually comes in with the Witch Slap. Also, let's identify those expos, because those can play a pivotal role in a Town Hall 9 attack. So as we go ahead and get this thing started right off the bat, he will enter in with a Queen Walk. Now, the Queen Walk will come in through the south. Now, she's being dropped in the south, and she has point defenses there. She's going to walk her way up. Now, there's also witches that are dropped up in the north, or up in the eastern corner, and their focus here is all this trash ring structure up here on the army camps, as well as the barracks here, and then they're going to work their way into these compartments here where the Expo Barbarian King's at. Now, the Queen down in the south is going to walk up this entire south side of the base, and as the Golem is dropped next, the Golem is dropped right here specifically to target the cannon. Now, as we get going again, a jump spell will go down after the witches. So the witches are dropped, and then a few wizards are dropped to work on structures. Now, what's been done here is EFX has created a pretty nice funnel. That way, there's no deterrence for the bowlers. The witches are going to work up here in the east, are going to work their way up, work on the Barbarian King, and continue to work on the outside. The witches here with the Golem are going to work their way into the base here where the jump spell is placed, and the Queen's going to continue to walk. So let's go ahead and continue this on as the Golem works his way in, draws the clan castle. 2 poison spells are down, and the Golem is tying up the clan castle troops as the bowlers are dropped along with the witches and Barbarian King. So now at this point, we have a witch that is an Archer Queen that's working her way up the south side of the base, and a Barbarian King that's working his way deeper into the base with the bowlers. Jump spell is the only thing. The next jump spell is dropped, and then a heal spell is purposely placed for the Barbarian King, for the witches, wizards, and bowlers that are in this midsection of the base, since they're going into the Archer Queen at this point and running into splash damage. So the barbarians from the Barbarian King will take down the Archer Queen, and now the bowlers are going to be separated from the group. Witches are working up there in the far eastern compartment on that final Archer Tower up there, and the bowlers are seeking out the next closest target, hitting the jump spell again. the Archer Queen has now continued her walk up into that trash ring area while the bowlers have worked their way on the outsides of this base, working up the centralized side and meeting up where the Archer Queen is walking. So their double bounce is going to continue to take out structures with the assistance of some witches behind them, working their way deeper up into this trash ring area, while we have a few witches that are stuck in the corner, in the core of the base, but they have healer coverage, so the healers are continuing to heal up these witches as they're getting targeted by the wizard tower. The Tesla is working on some skeletons as another witch has worked her way in. Now, at this point, you have an Archer Queen with her full health as well as her ability still intact. So even if the witches fail here in the core of the base, which they're not because you have healer coverage, the air defense is clearly out of range, and the Queen is going to be permitted the time to work her way around the top of the side of this base and finish this thing off. The witches are going to finish off that wizard tower, and then everything's going to finish off on this pointless air defense at this point. Doesn't really matter. Queen's ability still intact. And then there's a troll Tesla on the opposite side of the base, which works out perfect. Queen's ability still intact, so we're guaranteed we're going to get this Tesla and take it down. So let's go ahead and finish this one up, and we're going to jump into the next attack. Okay, so attack number 2 is a completely different base. A lot of trash ring structures on the outside of the base. We also have a lot of defenses that are on the outsides of the base. We have mortars out here, but mainly our air defenses are in the core of the base, or inside, tucked inside deep in the base. So they're unreachable by targets from the outsides of the base. Goodness, I lost my train of thought there. Take note that the composition is slightly changed a bit, so it's not exactly the same exact composition, but it is still a witch slab based off of the healers as well as the witches. So as we zoom back out and get a look at this, we have builders' huts in the corners, starting out with another queen walk here. 4 healers on that queen as she takes on this this western side of the base. We have a group of witches coming in from the south, as well as the same as before with the golem being dropped, and he's going to target that mortar. So the queen is going to walk her way up the northwestern side of this base, as we have witches down in the south. The witches are going to work their way up the south side of the base and take out these structures along this wall, and then we have a golem that's going to work his way around, unfortunately, on the mortar until it goes down. Wall breakers are being used here instead of a jump spell, since the wizard tower is off to the corner here, and he's working on that golem, so you can sneak in some wall breakers and be able to get rid of them. Queen is going to work her way up that northwestern side. So the compartment's open, and now the golem has turned his way back around, focused his attention back in the base since that mortar went down. Barbarian King is in, witches and wizards are in. Now the bowlers are dropped since there's a nice clean funnel for them to target everything in the core of this base. Witches are off to the flank down the south here. Queen is up there by herself with some healers, but a Valkyrie is going to end up taking her down. I don't even think the ability was popped there. So obviously we have a little bit of an oopsie here, but EFX is going to rebound perfectly fine. So don't freak out. As you have our golem, and we have bowlers, we have a Barbarian King, we have wizards in the core of this base, as well as some witches. They're working their way into the core of this base. There's still a jump spell and a heal spell in the queue, and the Barbarian King's ability will be popped here in a moment as the next jump spell is dropped to carry the troops through the core of this base onto the opposite side. Witches are still down in the south. They don't have any healer coverage, but they're continuing their walk as the group, the large group of bowlers, the wizards, witches, and Barbarian King have worked their way into a deeper side of this base, hitting the Tesla, working on an Expo, a bomb tower, and there's still point defenses up in the south. So the witches' duties have to be made up for by the bowlers here, since she did go down. Her ability was missed, and she was unable to take care of this north side of this base. So now the bowlers are having to readjust and take on the defenses over here on this western side. What should have happened is the bowlers would have continued with the Barbarian King to this opposite side of the base, and our Archer Queen would have finished this opposite western side of the base. So we have one single witch that is continuing to produce skeletons to work on structures on the eastern side over here where the laboratory is at and the spell factory. Barbarian King and the golem are tying up the final archer tower, as well as the wizard towers. Now we have a troll Tesla up here in the northern side of the base, northernmost point, but it's fine. We have plenty of skeletons to tie up the defenses here and allow the witches to produce and get in there with that bowler, as well as the Barbarian King finishing off this base, and the skeletons finishing off with the final defense up in the north. So that's attack number 2. We're going to move into attack number 3 here. Attack number 3 is a completely different base altogether, way different than what we've seen in the previous 2 attacks. A lot of spaced out here, a lot of different compartments, a lot of different funnels. So this base right here presented to Hitman is presenting a nice funnel down all sides of the base, from all different sides. A lot of trash ring structures to detour you guys, throw you off a little bit and confuse you on what's actually happening here. So there will not be a queen walk on this one. This is actually strictly witches being started out. Obviously a minion was dropped there and found a hidden Tesla there, so he had to readjust. He drops a group of witches over here on the far eastern side of the base, along with a few healers. Now the same thing will happen up in the northwestern side of the base, and he's gonna allow his witches to work, take care of these structures on the outsides of the base, and get rid of all this trash. That way, the rest of his group of troops that's going to come in, his main kill squad, is going to come in. Now, what he's actually done here is he's separated everything and put it down the center of the base. Now, what's actually happening here is the single golem is coming in and is targeting this archer tower, while he drops a few more witches to follow it up with his archer queen. His barbarian king will be dropped, and then he's going to wait a few seconds on his bowlers and allow them to target the core of this base. So now the bowlers are following in with the golem's footprint, as well as the witches have set a pretty nice funnel on both sides of the base here. This whole entire northwestern side is cleaned up real nice, and then the same thing with down here in the south or the southeast. There's a nice wide funnel. So all these troops right here, the Barbarian King, the Archer Queen, bowlers, and the Golem, they're going to work their way down this natural funnel. He drops a jump spell to split everything off and take on everything in these compartments. So let's go ahead and fire this thing back up and continue. Our bowlers are working. They're going to split a little bit because there's a structure there and the Archer Tower still up. A rage spell is dropped to speed everything up, get everything going, and then a heal spell is dropped to assist his bowlers as they run into this area where there's possible giant bombs, which there was one, and the Barbarian King is going to continue. Now, the Archer Queen is down in the south along with the enemy clan castle. The clan castle houses a max level dragon as well as a large group of archers. So the 2 poisons are going to go down. Now pay attention over here in the far east. We have witches that are continuing to work, but they are going down due to the amount of defenses that are on this side of the base. Plus there's a Seeking Airmine that's going to take out a healer there. And then the same thing over here in the western side of the base. We have witches that are kind of meeting up with our main group in the core of the base. As we fire this thing up, we have another heal spell down drop for our bowlers, our Barbarian King, since the Archer Queen's there. Poisons are dropped for the clan castle troops as well as the Archer Queen. Now back over here focusing in the west, we're losing our witches. So the heavier defenses are obviously in the east, since the western side has gone down very easily. Our witches are continuing to work and take out structures. We're losing healers over there. We've lost our Barbarian King, and we have a few bowlers remaining. Now, he sneaks in 2 single balloons here where there's no coverage from the expo. There's no coverage from air defenses. So this is where you got to think outside the box. There's plenty of time. There was no archer towers down here. There was no air defenses down here, so the balloons are able to sneak in and take out 3 more defenses that were pivotal that could have been used to take out witches. So now the Archer Queen still has her ability still intact. She's going to take down this expo easily, and then the witches and skeletons are going to finish up this base, taking out the Tesla as well as the final elixir storages. So that's attack number 3, completely different. We do have what's left over, a hidden Tesla. So a troll Tesla up in the final compartment or the final corner, northern corner of the base. Fine, it's fine. We have plenty of troops to finish this off and take it out, mainly for the event of air troops and slow-moving balloons. So we're going to move into attack number 4 on the opposite side, where LexCorp is also doing this as well. All right, so now time for attack number 4. Now take a note of this composition. The composition has changed to a more traditional, the original Witch Slap, where we have giants in the composition and no golem. We have about 12 witches on this one, and the base design is slightly different, or actually way different than our previous ones in the sense of the placement of our air defenses. So our air defenses are more on the edges here, They're more exposed than the previous attacks. And what Stoney is going to do is he's going to come in all in the south. He's just going to go guns blazing down in the south, and he's going to take this thing head on with 2 poison drops right off the bat. Since what he's doing here is he's using his giants. He's going to draw the clan castle here, and he has his poisons pre-drop for the clan castle troops, as well as taking some health off of that archer queen. He brings his giants in directly in on that mortar, and then he splits his witches, or his witch drops. He just kind of drops everything in 3 different locations. Now what's going to happen here is the witches are setting a nice funnel on both sides, so that way the bowlers are going to go directly into the jump spell itself. We have witches covered on the east and western side with the healer coverage, while we have our bowlers that have directed their way into the core of this base, along with another jump spell drop, and there should be another rage or another heal spell drop as the bowlers get deeper into this base. His Barbarian King did take a lot of heat by the Expos, and he does in fact go down, so a rage spell is dropped to speed his bowlers up as they get into the Expos here. The Expos have shifted their attention to the skeletons from the witch, and now they're going to take out the witch. Now the Archer Queen is going to actually be the savior here. We are losing healers due to the air defenses on the corners there, but our witches are continuing to progress along with a few bowlers. Our Archer Queen is going to take down that final Expo, as well as her ability being used to take on that wizard tower. Now our witches up here in the north have worked their way into a Tesla farm location, or a double Tesla location. Archer was used up in the far northern side of the base in order to take out a builder's hut that was straight up there, as we have bowlers and witches finishing up the eastern side, or western side, correction, western side of the base, and they're working their way around the base. So all healers are gone, witches are on their own at this point, but we are down to one final point defense, mortar. The mortar will in fact go down, and our witches will overpower this base, despite the locations of our air defenses taking on our healers and taking those out. A troll Tesla is over in the far western corner, but we have so many skeletons, they're just going to simply overpower the Tesla here, as well as a few bowlers that are continuing to work on a wall over there inside the base. So that is attack number 4, a little bit more traditional witch slap attack, but totally different than the previous attacks, guys. Alright, so now attack number 5 is completely different. I picked this one because it is actually way unconventional. It is not a witch slap. There are no healers in the composition. This is one of those big, heavy gambling attacks here. But this is kind of where the planning comes into play. And you guys, the more experience you get, the more you see these things. So their Archer Queen is up here in the north. The clan castle is mostly centralized on this base. Our Expos are down here in the south, and our air defenses don't really matter because we don't have any healers in the composition. We do have 3 heal spells, and we do have 1 jump spell. There are builders huts in the north and eastern side of the base, and just a very large trash ring, trash ring around the base. Goodness. All right, so our queen's going to come in from the south here, start us out, high level queen, and she's going to take out a lot of structures, work on setting the funnel. Everything's going to come up from the south here. So our 2 golems are dropped in order to take on all the defenses down here in the south. They're taking a lot of heat at this point. We have our witches that are over here working on structures on the outsides of the base. They're going to take out this gold mine, and then they're going to focus their direction over towards the west. We have witches also over here in the east. They're going to work their way up this eastern side of the base, while our bowlers are being directed into the core of the base. So all of our closest defenses, or all of our closest structures here, are going to pull the attention of our bowlers as the structures on the outsides of the base go down. So our golems are in the base. Our Valkyries are dropped, so we have Valkyries and bowlers, and they're going to work their way into the base. Now our witches have shifted their attention, or at least the skeletons have, into the core of the base, and everything's running into giant bombs. There was poison spells for our clan castle troops. Now a heal spell is going to be misplaced because I'm pretty sure Colonel here was expecting his Valkyries to continue or cut through the wall, but instead they redirected and went back into the jump spell and into the core of the base. So the heal spell was a little bit of a waste there, but it doesn't matter. He has 1 more in his composition. So now he drops his heal spell where the Valkyries are focused. We also have an Archer Queen here. We have a bomb tower, and now our witches are on the outside. The witches over in the east are continuing their work up the eastern side of the base. We've lost a lot of our witches over in the west due to these point defenses over here, but we still have a few skeletons that are working, and now our archer towers have shifted their attention to the core of the base here. So heal spell here is very important. The Barbarian King's ability is popped to assist our Valkyries, what's left of our Valkyries and bowlers, to cut through this wall. The Archer Queen is taking on the Archer towers by herself, and now she's cut through a wall herself. Now our witches have worked their way up into the northern side of the base, as there's 3 Teslas by the town hall that are focused in on our Valkyries and Barbarian King, as well as our Golem and our bowlers. Our queen is down to very minimal health as she runs into a heavy dense area, and she will in fact go down as she gets closer to that Tesla, as well as the archer tower. The golem is continuing to soak up a lot of damage here for our Valkyries to work. The Valkyries are on the town hall, and now they're working their way over to the Tesla. The queen is down at this point, so we have let's see here, 5 defenses there remaining. Valkyries are cutting on a wall, while the Golemite now is soaking up damage from the point defenses and giving our bowlers a little bit of time to assist with getting rid of at least one of those defenses. Now at this point, we're down to Valkyries. We're down to witches. So everything's going to fall on the shoulders of the witch and the skeletons. The skeletons are going to tie up the defenses here. So once that Valkyrie falls, that cannon will redirect and go into the Lares. And then our witches are going to sneak in behind and take out the cannon with their, I guess, hocus pocus spell. As while our Lares are continuing to soak up the damage from the defenses. So this is kind of that point where the attack could have gone wrong. However, the Lares are actually soaking up the damage from what's left of the point defenses. Thankfully, it wasn't splash damage, because splash damage would take out Lares and easily shift over to the witches next. So our point defenses were able to be overpowered here. The Tesla will go down, and then everything will be finished up on these final 2 structures. So hopefully this video was able to get you some idea here on how to plan a little bit better for your witch slap attacks or your witch attacks, guys. Smash that like button, share it if you enjoyed it or you find it'll be useful to others, and thanks for watching, guys.